Mr. Walton, did you make contact with aliens? Were you taken to another planet, to a mothership? How did they communicate with... Can you tell me what they look like? Can you tell me how many of them there were? Were you given food?
But the teachers are alive. They're not books. They are the very living essences of nature itself.
What a strange person.
Unbelievably powerful supercomputer that's running our reality, and we don't have a clue as to how to operate it.
So when maybe you or somebody else creates an AGI system and you get to ask her one question, what would that question be?
What's outside the simulation?
Say in your mind, say to yourself, I am more than my physical body, because I am more than physical matter. I can perceive that which is greater than the physical world.
Do not know all the answers to the questions about reality. Do not claim to know the ultimate truth about life. I seek that which has been made hidden. As a part of a family of explorers of consciousness. I'm a void.
Welcome to Lighting the Void.
Broadcasting from New York, upstate near the Great Lakes, it's Lighting the Void, and I'm your host, Joe Roop. We're live on the Fringe FM. It is Wednesday, March the 4th. Actually, it's, wait, what's today? I think it's Wednesday or Thursday. It's the 3rd on into the 4th. It's midnight here on the East Coast, and we're right in the middle of the week. It's Hump Day. Hump Day on Lighting the Void. KTLK Digital Broadcasting, Fringe.fm. That's the website where you can listen to the network. You can also call into the show at 1-800-588-0335. Call into the show. I love it when you call. If you want to support the show, you can go to lightingthevoid.com. Make sure you click on the Patreon banner or the one-time donations. Also, you can, if you're looking to do podcasting, you can go to our old website, which is thefringe.fm, if you want to hire us for professional production services. The mighty Rohan's here with us. What's up, Rohan? We got a cool show tonight, man. You know what we're going to be doing? We're going to be talking about some pretty cool stuff. We're going to be talking about NLP, hypnosis, extreme hypnosis. Jonathan Royle, he's from over there where you're from. You know Jonathan Royle? Mind control. So we're going to be talking
I've heard
about
the name. I looked into that stuff, all that NLP stuff.
Pretty cool guy, too. Actually, he's kind of he's a character. Magicalguru.com is the website for reference tonight. It's something that I've also been studying is NLP. Like, what if we want to dig into the mind control, really, instead of just saying there's mind control out there? How powerful is the mind? We need to talk to some people that really understand how this stuff works, right? So is the mind a gateway to our power? Are we being controlled by it? Or how deep does the action of divide and conquer amongst people, how deep does that really go? And if you know you're being subjected to programming and manipulation, what would you do to change it? That's the real question, right? So
yeah,
I burnt my arm on the stove again, Rohan, and my skin is literally like falling off. It's falling off.
That's not good. They're never good, them stove burns or steam burns.
It felt like a minor burn. You know, this was a burn. I don't know, I might show it to the chat room, but this was a burn where I just barely touched the top of the stove. I mean, just barely. You know, when you pull something out of the stove,
Yeah.
and just barely touched it, and it singed the top of my arm, and now it's like all discolored and my skin's falling off. It's really weird, man. I don't know. It's scaring
Aloe
me.
vera, mate. Get some aloe vera on it. Break a plant
I put
open
some
and get
on
the
there.
gel on it.
I put some on there. I did. I put some on there, but hopefully it'll. That's the second scar I got on my right arm from burning stuff in the stove, and yeah. So that's it. I want to tell Robert Bonomo, thanks for coming on last night too. We kind of touched on that subject with his film Twilight of the Archons, discussing the archonic banking system and all the systems that we are subject to, that we're a slave to, and why. And I got to be on Ricky Verandez's The Ripple Effect podcast today, so hopefully he'll be putting that episode out. Really cool guy. He's just like me, man. Ricky Verandez from The Ripple Effect. He just likes to just get down into the void and talk. So we talked about all kinds of stuff. It's really cool. I have no idea where the Night Stalker is. I think he's working. But we are working on the Deep Void project. That's why I keep bringing Rohan on here. He's my new audio guy. You're doing a hell of a job too, brother.
Yeah, well, you try my best. Like I say, if you've got some skills you can offer them to be used, then you might as well, haven't you? No better to do at the minute, have we?
Yeah, right. So, I mean, we're going back through all these episodes, seeing it really does bring back memories, though, going back through all the old episodes, and like seeing all the old titles and who I talked to. I tell people that I've been doing this for 4 years or whatever now, but the truth of it is, when we went back and looked at the dates at the first episode of the show was 2015.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird, isn't it? It's kind of like a time warp happened or something.
Yeah, it was weird as well for me to see that because the first guy that I heard in the archive was a British guy, and it was the guy that was a big influence for you.
Stephen
was
Ash,
telling me about. Yeah, Steve Ash. Yeah. And then it was also weird for me seeing that date, because I thought, no way, that was the date massive changes were happening for me, and I was embarking on something brand new. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like, ooh, that's a bit weird.
Yeah, I'm trying to go back.
The timing, and we've had so many little parallels when we've talked about stuff, and it's like, oh, it's weird that is. Funny
October the 18th, 2015 is the day I talked to Stephen Ash. I think it was like a week later he passed away. And I really started getting into like late night magic and late night radio too. I mean, I was already into magic and I was already into radio a little bit, but after that, it's kind of weird because the first episode shows October the 18th, 2015, and then it jumps to 2016. That's wild. So technically then, I've been doing this, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 6 years.
6 years, bro. 6 years, man.
Crazy.
On your six days, yeah.
Isn't that crazy? 6 years. 6 years. I should have a jumbo jet. Right?
Yeah, that's it. You should have your own little G6 or whatever it is.
I should have a G6
little
by
private
now.
Jobs. Yeah, man. You know, air hostesses.
Well, that just goes to show you, like, I wasn't born with talent, So it was a persistence that at least got me to this point, just doing the same thing over and over again.
I thought quite the opposite. I thought you must have done really well then, because if you seems to have like done all the work in 6 years, it seems like you've done quite a lot. Do you know what I mean? Because I think just in terms of like finding out about stuff, because it sounded like you seemed to like, I don't know, like you were going into it like, oh, I'm a noob in the beginning. And it was like, well, it took me about 18 years to get this far, so you seem to have done okay.
We're always a noob. We're always neophytes at everything, right? It just even when we think we got something figured out, we're still neophytes.
I think back to when I was 15, and I really, really believed then that I'd figured it all out. I thought I had. I was 15.
Everybody thought they had everything figured out when they were 16, right? Like they understand the world, and no one can tell you anything when you're 15 and 16.
Yeah. You really believe it though, don't you?
Yeah.
And that's why all these 30-year-olds and 40-year-olds are like, yeah, okay, all right, son. And you're thinking, what? What?
Yeah. You go back home, you leave the house, and then you think you got everything under wraps, and then usually come back home around like 20, 21, or like, help, I don't know what's going on out there. Yeah.
Yeah,
well, that's the way it is, right? So anyways, we're gonna be discussing some of this like NLP. So the guy that's coming on, Jonathan Royle, is he's pretty established, but he's an authority on hypnotherapy and NLP, stage hypnosis, street hypnotism, and related hypnotic techniques. But it makes you wonder what it really is, though. Kind of, is it like Star Wars, where you can walk up to people and just say, "These are not the droids you're looking for," and just kind of have your way with people?
Yeah. Well, I think like a lot of things. I've just been talking about this with Michael Strange. I think there's a whole smorgasbord like everything else. There's probably nuances with it. We're just talking about channeling in that instance. But yeah, I think, do you know what I mean? There's different levels of things, isn't there? And you've got to use your own discernment about what's what, like always, isn't it? Yeah.
What's what within? I mean, I understand NLP. I understand the unconscious mind. But even when I did that regression, I have to tell you, I really kind of didn't. I had doubts about this stuff. I had a lot of doubts about it. Like, is it all, are we making it up all in the mind? And is there anything real? And even if you are making up in the mind, does that mean that it's not real? Like, well,
that's the thing.
Real?
That's the, because if you see it, then there's, if you see an angel because you've taken some acid, is it any less real than seeing an angel because you prayed?
A lot of people would say so, right? I mean, if you went to court and the judge would say it was less real, Didn't that happen to you once? Didn't you get someone tell you that you were tripping or something one time? I think that's happened to everybody, though, once or twice.
No, I've had one of these weird glitches in the Matrix where I've made the mistake of telling someone, and it seemed as if, you know what I mean? Credibility goes away for a bit.
Yeah, that's one of those times in life where you're like, hey, I really want to tell you this thing, man, but you're going to think I'm absolutely crazy. Like, you're going to think, and they're like, they promise you, no, man, just tell me everything. Look, I've heard it all. There's really nothing that you can tell me, that will surprise me. Just try me. I promise you, I won't take it, to heart or like laugh or think you're crazy. And then they finally talk you into opening up, and then you open up, and next thing you know, they're treating you like you're an absolute imbecile. It's the worst thing ever.
Yeah, that happened to me, but it happened to me hard. It was at the worst possible time as well. Do you know what I mean? And I got dragged into the system, man, with all of that. Like, he must have gone crazy, but they didn't say why or anything. And I got a letter of apology for like medical negligence and stuff. But yeah, I got scooped onto this ward that needed funding, and it was like a prime opportunity to grab a patient. Do you know what I'm saying?
You got scooped into a psych ward? They took you to the psych ward?
Yeah, for 5 weeks, bro. After the worst crap had happened with my family of my life. And I was like, no way, this is not right. And when they took me in as well, they kept me in a hospital for 24 hours in a waiting room and then took me in, right, Halloween at the witching hour. I was like, are you kidding me?
You thought your life was over, didn't you? At that point, you thought, this is like the movies when everything just goes to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah.
They didn't put you in a padded room?
No, it wasn't one of them. I had my own little room on this ward, but I couldn't leave the ward. So I was like, really, I'm a stimulation person. I need to know how. I had no contact with the outside world for like a few weeks. So it was like, oh crap. It's like,
yeah. What's that like? How do they check you in? Do they give you shots?
Do you know what?
Like, what do they do?
I'll tell you what, there's people, some of the nurses need to be in there. They need to swap uniforms, man. Because some of the people are smart in there and some are just having respite. But there's void walkers in there, I swear to you. It's just fringe people. Sometimes you just end up in there sometimes.
all of the people in the psych wards are void walkers. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, I think probably about 10%. I don't want to go weird on you. No, but yeah, there's a few in there, dotted in there. Had some weird conversations, man. Some strange stuff happened in that ward as well. And other people noticed too. And I was like, see, this is my life. You know what I'm saying? Sorry.
Man, I would have thought that like my life was over. I thought like my life was falling apart if that would have happened to me,
Well, my life had fallen apart. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just that the bit of going in there was a real inconvenience, and I knew it was ridiculous, and made a mistake, and so I got this letter of apology and a promise of an investigation for negligence and stuff. But
they made a mistake.
It was just unlucky. It was just really unlucky. So, do you know what I mean? But it gave me a lot of stuff. I learned a lot. Got to see inside the system. Got to talk to people, and I'd been training to be a counsellor just leading into that. So it gave me loads of insight. So it was really useful. And it really settled in my spirituality and Buddhism because I needed to use the patience for quite a while. Do you know what I'm saying? So, It was learning thing. It was good.
They made a mistake. That's. I mean, I would have sued the hell out. I'm not one of those type of people that
but
sue
the thing,
people.
trouble in
But
this country, you can't do it unless you've got the money to pay a solicitor. If you try and get them to do it on a pro bono thing, they just don't try. They just don't try at all. And plus, they never did the investigation and they refused to do it. So it was like I was a bit stuck. So and sometimes you just got to let things go and focus on yourself, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? Could go back to it, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm not one of those kind of people that like want to sue you for everything or look. But if someone locked me up in a psych ward by accident, yeah, I'm
They
taking
tried
you
to forcibly
downtown.
drug me and all that stuff as well. Do you know what I mean? And then they're constantly asking me just about every other day, well, about every 3 days, they'd be asking me if you think you've got powers in this like interview. I'd see this doctor, and I was like, "This, you're a joke, bro. He couldn't like listen to you for more than a few seconds before he'd interrupt you. Do you know what I mean and stuff? It was he wasn't interested in what people were saying. You know, it's one of them. It's just a classic cliche, you know, rubbishiness when it's not being ran very well, sort of thing. But it's all funding. It's all funding and bad training, isn't it?
Oh, but yeah, I don't know. I've had some moments in my life where I thought everything was just falling apart at once, and that would have been one of those for me. You know,
I've had a few of them. I think they're like these little moments. I think the way you're leveling up into the next level within your own personal story and in your own like personal maturation, you're just leveling up in your maturity, and you get these little milestones like markers along your path. I think that's what they are. And it just manifests as this awful situation. But I think really what's happening is you're having an energetic change, a bit like puberty is an energetic change within your being, but it just manifests as you start growing hair, getting spots. You know what I'm saying?
well, here's the question: like, what would be worse, living on a planet where you're all by yourself? Think about this psychologically. What it's like without human interaction. All right, so living on a planet for 80 years all by yourself, or living on a planet for 80 years and every person on the planet thinks that you're a lunatic. Really, you're the only sane one, though.
Ah, that's interesting. That's a really interesting one.
Which one's worse? Everybody. No one's going to relate to you.
I think the insane one. I think I'd rather be alone. Although normally I wouldn't have picked the alone one in a different talk. I got a friend called Dennis who said he'd love to have the world all to himself and be on his own. And I said, if you can't share it, wouldn't it be a bit hollow? And he's down with that. But I think he's fed up with the world. Do you know what I mean? So that's an interesting thought experiment, though.
Yeah, I would rather be alone than on a planet full of everybody that thought I was crazy. For sure, right? Like I could be wrong. Bo, by the way, Ripcord, if you guys want to join the Fringe FM chat, you can go to thefringe.fm/chat room to join the program. But I've had some really freaking weird dreams lately, man. Like vivid dreams where I couldn't, even after I wake up, I can't tell the difference between reality and a dream. So
that is pretty vivid. Yeah. Do you turn your Wi-Fi off at nighttime?
I did after I talked to Lydia and Arturo. Yeah. But that's
because I started doing it since the other day, since a couple of days, and I was just wondering if you do that anyway, because I'm trying to gauge if it helps other people or do you know what I mean? It seems to be working for me. I seem to be getting more peaceful sleep.
I think it does. Weird. I think it works really well, actually. But I keep falling asleep on the couch. I got a perfectly good bed, but I keep falling asleep on the couch next to the studio stuff. So, look, let's see. Let me see. The last 3 people that got altar boxes, the last 3 orders before February the 10th, those altar boxes are on the way. And I will get you your, if Brett hasn't contacted you with your shipping codes yet, I'll get those out to you. Just got to send pictures, man. You guys got to send pictures when you get your stuff. That's the deal.
Cool.
Nobody sends pictures. I used to get I got a ton of orders in here, by the way, but nobody sends pictures anymore. Like,
if they're receiving the orders and stuff. Should do unboxings and that. Yay.
Do what now? I should do what?
There's unboxing things that you get. Someone gets a new phone and does an unboxing video on YouTube.
It's my new LTV shirt. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, look, it works. Yay.
Yeah, so James Salcido. Meredith and David, you guys are all, your altar boxes are on the way. Man, that's cool. I'm
Your
gonna
merch
see you
shop was
guys.
good, man. On Light in the Void website, I like it. I want one of them rucksacks.
You want the rave, like a rave backpack?
Yeah. It's got like Champion Sport. I didn't know they were still going. They was like the big rave label in the 90s. Everyone loved Champion Sport, the Champion label. Just took me. It was like a flashback, a little throwback for me.
The ones where you put your bag,
cool bag as well.
all your ecstasy and all your acid in and everything.
Yeah, I gotta get my dummies in there. I'll sell dummies. Make a packet.
Yeah. You're going to rave parties and you go in there and you see all these people like sucking on pacifiers and rubbing vape all over their face. Did they do that in England too, where they rub all the?
They used to like sprinkle water in your hair and then get a little fan. Someone would have a little electric fan or something, and they'd like put the fingers near to your eyeballs. Do you know what I mean? And keep flicking them so it looks like they're going to hit, and it make twinkly bits happen. And they used to get that vapor stuff, but in the nasal, that nasal one where you like suck it up when you've got a cold.
I had no idea, like this is going to sound completely stupid, but I thought that ecstasy back then was just another psychedelic drug. And that was it. Mm-hmm. So I had no idea that what it made your body feel like or anything. Right. And so when I went to the first rave party and I saw these people like inhaling vape, what is that? What is that stuff? Mentholatum, vape crap, sucking on pacifiers, and they're all like rubbing each other down like zombies. Imagine seeing that and you don't know why everybody's doing it.
Yeah. It's sort of the same for me, really. It's just me and my mates. We had a stag do when we was young, It was like, well, there's four of us. We'll all try it for the experience, and if we die, we die.
If we die,
it's not one of them, but it was great. It's all right. It's just discovering about chemistry and biochemistry and nature. That's all.
Vapor rub. That's right. God. Yeah, and I was thinking, I was like, wait, why? It's really weird. So I know it's hard to imagine what that would be like psychologically, but think about it. Most people that know what Molly or ecstasy does to people, they understand why everybody's, rubbing up against everything and stuff, right? But if you don't, and you just think it's like a psychedelic drug or whatever, and you walk into a room and everybody's acting like parasites in a way that just need to touch everything.
Yeah.
It's really strange. It's kind of freaking, be honest with you, it's kind of dark. You get like a dark feeling.
It is. There is that. I think there's that thing of it's because you're sort of halfway in that psychedelic realm, but I think also it's because it's you still got your faculties, haven't you? So you still got your intelligence. So you know that this is kind of a veneer. It's a booster. It's not going to last because life's normally not like this. Although I do speculate that that's probably where we're supposed to be. We're supposed to feel like that anyway, all of the time.
What? I don't think I could handle that.
BS. You know what I mean?
You think we're supposed to feel like that all the time? Like when people are on Molly or whatever?
I think if it was harming, I think if we didn't have all the BS and all the manipulation and all this and that, I think people would just be feeling really great all the time, and just feeling bliss all the time. Because you can reach those states without drugs. You can do meditation, do it from exercise. You have a good run or good coming out of a gym. If you go to a gym regular, spend an hour down the gym and really go for it, you feel amazing when you come out. So it's not like, it's just a way to do it with your body chemistry, isn't it? Quickly, that's convenient to go to a rave, That's all.
I don't know how we got on the subject. It's just one thing after the other. That's funny, though.
Yeah, windy.
I was thinking about the craziest. I guess I was thinking about the craziest things I ever experienced in my life psychologically, and that was one of them. The first time I saw that. So speaking of which, we're going to be talking about the mind. Jonathan Royle is coming on here just after the break. We're going to be talking about hypnosis, extreme hypnosis, neuro-linguistic programming. What is real mind control? How deep is it? And probably a little bit more. We're going into the void right after the break. You guys stay with us. More Lighting the Void coming up with our guest, Jonathan Royle. It's going to be a blast.
AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Are you stressed? I mean, who isn't? Anxiety creeping in? No, not that. Is sleep hard to attain because your brain just won't slow down? We're living in crazy times, and the fear knob has been turned up. Okay, there's an answer. Take a big breath, exhale, and go log on to AncientLifeOil.com. CBD, broad and full spectrum, organic and non-GMO CBD for you to enjoy. Change your tune from fear to calm, from brain overload to clear thinking. 0.003 THC on full spectrum and 0% THC on broad spectrum. Competitive pricing with the best quality. Also know everything is going to get better. No worries, be happy. CBD can help calm so your nerves don't think they're a 6-string electric guitar. Enjoy life, smile, and log on to AncientLifeOil.com for great CBD. That's AncientLifeOil.com. You'll be glad you did.
Want to know what's on The Fringe FM? Check out our schedule at thefringe.fm.
Hola, Fringe listeners. This is Dave Cruz of Beyond the Strange, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
This is Malorcas45, fan of The Fringe FM, challenging everyone to open their mind's eye. Listen to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop to gain precision for your third eye vision.
My name is Jake. I'm from Billings, Montana, and I am a void walker.
Hey, Joe Roop. Thanks for lighting the void. This is Janine in the bluegrass of Kentucky, and I am a void walker.
What's up, guys? This is Damien from San Marcos, Texas, and I'm a void walker. I listen to the show to keep myself aligned with the world.
Hi, this is Laura, aka Laura Lavender. I'm from Las Vegas, and I listen to Lighting the Void because it helps me understand some of the strangest experiences I've had. So thanks for all that you do and for always being there for us, Joe.
Hi, this is Kronox from Belgium, and you're listening to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop.
Hey, this is country music singer and void walker Jason Benoit, and when I need my fix on the world of magic and the capabilities of the human consciousness, I listen to Joe Roop right here on Lighting the Void Radio.
Born out of the alchemical tradition of Paracelsus is a medical tradition called Spagyria. Though not many people practice this work today, Phoenix Aurelius has been researching and teaching this work for the last 15 years, and he needs your support.
Hi, I'm Phoenix Aurelius, and I'm the founder of the Phoenix Aurelius Research Society, where I perform modern scientific research on the methods and techniques of Paracelsian alchemy and Spagyria for health, wellness, agriculture, ecology, and more. All my work is 100% funded by the public. So if you like what I'm doing and you want to support my research, please consider making a purchase of spagyric medicines from my apothecary, fund your own spagyric IDF wellness research, or participate in my group study or one-on-one immersion courses so that you can learn how to perform this work for yourself. I want to thank you in advance for your support.
Visit thefringe.fm/alchemy research and enter coupon code FRINGE and receive 15% off anything and everything on the website. That's thefringe.fm/alchemy research. And thank you for doing your part and keeping alchemy alive in the modern day. Well, I figured if we was talking about raves, we might as well play that one. Alpha Centauri by Kronox, the one and only Kronox, the official music producer of the program Lighting the Void. We also got Steezy Stevie, and we got another audio guy here tonight with us, Rohan. We're going to bring in our guest, Jonathan Royle's here with us, and it's time to talk a little bit about, I guess, how powerful the mind is. And if you guys want to go to the website for reference, it's magicalguru.com. So Dr. Jonathan Royle is firmly established and regarded as one of the world's leading authorities and experts on all areas of hypnotherapy, NLP, stage hypnosis, street hypnotism, and related hypnotic techniques. He's also worked for many years as a professional psychic entertainer, offering tarot card readings, palmistry, astrology, numerology, and related services. And that's pretty impressive, right? And along the way, he has carved himself as an enviable reputation as a mind-blowing mentalist, and is also in high demand for his executive coaching and hypnotic marketing training services as well. Jonathan, thanks for coming on the program. It's good to have you.
Thanks for asking me.
Here's the thing. We've been talking a lot about the mind control. We kind of get into a little bit of, I guess we go down the conspiracy rabbit hole too, but it is a really cool subject to talk about. And I study Hermetics too. And in Hermetics, they talk about that all is mind, right? So here's the thing. How, just based on your experience with all this, how powerful is the mind? I mean, have we even really tapped into what it's capable of? Are we even close?
No, I'm not even close. There are, you can go out there and look, and you'll find these, alphabet spaghetti soup brigade. I call them, the people with hundreds of letters after the names. But because they got them from a university, apparently that makes them the expert you should listen to. Now, according to those types, there's estimates that we only use in the region of about 10% of our brain power. Nobody knows. It's the simple fact. One thing we do know through sheer common sense and observation is that people year in, year out, day by day, in some different places of the world, keep doing things that would have seemingly been impossible. But once one person's done it, and the prime example of this is Roger Bannister. There was a time when the 3-minute mile, was it 3-minute mile? Or is it more minutes than that? I'm having a mental block because it's early hours. 4-minute mile, that's it. It's only not quite 20 to 6 in the morning here in England. Brain's not fully functioning. But yeah, the 4-minute mile, it had never been done. No, the idea of running a mile in 4 minutes, ridiculous. Everyone laughed at it. But Roger Bannister believed, before the term sports psychology or hypnosis was bandied around as generally as it is today, that if he believed enough, then if it was physically possible to do, that the missing link was belief, state of mind. So he would do mental rehearsals, imagining himself running that mile in 4 minutes. And I imagine he probably read somewhere, because it's been down for many years, this idea that the unconscious mind, your imagination, doesn't know the difference between something that's imagined or something that genuinely happened. So if you mentally rehearse the scenario of winning or the scenario of doing that mile in 4 minutes, often enough, your unconscious imagination will come to believe that you've done it again and again and again. And so there will be no resistance or barrier there when you come to attempt to do it in the real world. And sure enough, one day Roger Bannister did the mile in 4 minutes. And lo and behold, the moment he did that, loads of these people who said it wasn't possible, who'd laughed and scoffed, once they saw he'd done it, to them it made them believe that it was possible, because they saw somebody else do it. And they thought to themselves, well, if it's possible for him, it's possible for me. And in a matter of days, other people did it. In a matter of weeks, some other people did it and actually did it a few seconds quicker. And that was, these people, what was the difference from a week before when they couldn't do it? It was just the fact that they believed they couldn't do it and believed it wasn't possible. So yeah, your mind is the key to absolute infinite possibilities.
Yeah, I think, and I think the fastest now is like it's a guy from Morocco. He runs the mile in 3 minutes and 43 seconds. Like, it got broke quite a bit after that. Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, I mean it has moved on exactly. I mean it wasn't just that it shaved 1 or 2 seconds off. It's gone from 4 minutes down to, as you say, like 3 minutes 43. It's like that's a lot more seconds. And now, yeah, don't get me wrong, there is a physical limit on possibilities in life. We can't band around this idea that if you think positively, absolutely everything's possible, because there's you know, if somebody is born with a genetic physical disability, then no amount of positive thinking is going to enable them to do certain things in the same way as an able-bodied person. They may be able to do some absolutely amazing things that go beyond the realms of possibility, and indeed they most definitely can. You've only got to look at the blinking Paralympics to see great examples of people who focus on taking human potential to, you know, way beyond the limits of what most able-bodied people think is possible, and they're coping with well, what some of us would term a disability. They probably would reframe it as a challenge, an obstacle, because, you know, that's a slightly more positive way of looking at it. It's something that they overcome. It's all to do with mindset, which is why you hear the term mindset a lot in sports and things.
Well, before we get into the story, or to talk about these mind control and stuff, can you tell me a little bit about how you got involved in this? Did something happen to you that changed your mind and got you involved in this, or did you just were always interested in? Because for me, the mind control, NLP, hypnotherapy, I would say the first thing that intrigued me was Star Wars, right? Like, these are not the droids you're looking for. I'm like, wow, can that really, you know, can people really control other people like that? You know, and I think that's kind of intrigued people, you know.
That's a lovely example. You know, that kind of thing is possible as long as you have got balls of steel, extreme self-confidence, and you can keep a straight face, and you do it with the right sort of voice tone and stuff. It's what they call in NLP and hypnosis a pattern interrupt. It means that people have patterns and programs they run in their mind in everyday life, certain expectations, the way they expect certain situations to go. And if somebody does something unexpected that doesn't fit that pattern, it disrupts with the way they're psychologically processing it, and it's called a pattern interrupt. So the last thing you would expect somebody to do is walk up to you with 2 androids that look like the android you're looking for, look at you dead calmly rather than trying to run off and, you know, wave their hand across their eyes and go, these are not the droids you're looking for. It's the last thing you'd expect anyone. You wouldn't do it, would you? And so that can cause confusion and disorientation, where most people would go in that situation, hang on a minute, what the hell? This person clearly can't be, those can't be the droids that we're looking for, because no person will be that audacious to just stand there casually and calmly and tell us they're not. They're clearly trying to help us save time, and they try and find some logical conclusion to it. And the only logical conclusion they'd probably be able to get in a split second is that this person's trying to be helpful. They know we're looking for 2 particular androids. These might look a bit like them, but they want us to save time, so they're letting us know, no, these are not the ones. And that might happen at an unconscious level, because the brain tries to make sense of things, while consciously they're a bit confused, like what's going on, and they just walk off calm. It is possible. It's not beyond the realms of possibility to do things like that in real life. But to answer your question, how did I get into all this stuff? I'll try and cut a 45-year-long story down into literally right. 2 or 3 minutes, okay? I was born on a circus. I'll give you bullet points. Sorry, viewers, listeners. If you want a bigger, deeper version, you'll have to go and look on my website, magicalguru.com. But I was born on the circus. At the age of 3 and a bit, I was Britain's youngest professional paid circus clown, because my dad was a circus clown and my mum was a whip-cracking, knife-throwing, sharp-shooting cowgirl on the circus.
Oh, cool.
So it was a bit of a weird background to start with. And one of the things I learned when I was very young is that lots of things in life are inverted, in the sense of a lot of things on the circus that look incredibly dangerous, actually, when you know the tricks behind them, are relatively safe. And then there's quite a few things that look relatively safe that actually do one little thing a little bit wrong and it can be fatal and kill you. Now, I'm not talking about lion taming or
although that
flying
has happened.
trapeze.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm not talking about lion taming or flying trapeze. Obviously, you know what the dangers are in there. They're very real. But there are things that look dangerous that are not as dangerous as they look, and vice versa. So I grew up in this world of knowing things aren't always what they seem. That was one element of it. That was ingrained into my mind from an early age through experience. And then growing up, I was performing as a clown with the circus, but my hobby was magic, conjuring, Davy Copperfield style magic, not devil worshipping magic or anything like that, but magic tricks. And all the money I was earning, I was using to buy magic tricks. And as I grew up, I got really, really good at magic, and I mean really exceptionally good. At a ridiculously young age, which came in useful because when my mum wanted us to settle down and me go to, rather than travelling around, go to a normal, one school in one place, which meant then I could only perform at weekends, school holidays and stuff. My dad still kept travelling more for a while. I started to get bullied at school because I was the odd one out and I was getting featured in national newspapers in England. There's pictures of that people can see on the resume page on my website, where, at the age of 6, I was in the Daily Mirror, a newspaper here, with the headline, Alex, the Circus Six-It, and me dressed as a clown. And great, it helped, it helped in terms of the showbiz side of things, but being at a normal school now, I seem to be the odd one out. Now, the kids were fine with it, but the teachers at that school, it sounds perhaps way out there, but basically started bullying me. And making life hell to the point where we ended up moving town so I could go to a different school. And I thought I'd escaped it then, and because the teachers were wonderful. Unfortunately, when I'd started appearing in the media again, it was the pupils that started bullying me. So I got, I suppose, depressed, simple as. And I was searching for an answer, an escape to my problems. And, it got so bad that at one time I did lay down in a main road one winter evening, a normally incredibly busy main road. And after what seemed like forever, what was probably only a few minutes, when no traffic had come along, which never happened, but this time it did, I stood up, got fed up with it, and thought I can't even kill myself properly, and started progressing back to the pavement. And just as I got on the pavement, whoosh, there was this massive noise, a big draft, and I turned and looked, and a big, articulated lorry had whooshed past. Thankfully, it wasn't meant to be, but I wanted an escape, and I saw a book at the library, and it was right near where the magic books were in the adult section of the library, because by this point I was that good at magic that it was pointless getting kids magic books, because I'd mastered all those tricks years earlier. And near the where the conjuring book, sports and pastime section was in the library, the libraries have the DEWEY, DEWEY classification system. And to this day, it's the same. Right near the sports and pastimes is the self-help and personal development section.
The Dewey Decimal System, I remember that, yeah.
That's it, yeah, and it's the same to this day. So right near the sports and pastimes where conjuring books were is the self-help and personal development section. And I saw a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And I saw the title of this book and I thought, hang on, that's the solution, because if I can turn these bullies into friends and influence them, then I stop getting bullied. Seemed logical. So I got the book out and read it. And what I discovered very quickly is that, yes, it's a great book, and a lot of its contents do work in the right context when you're an adult dealing with adults, but the contents do not work on children, and they definitely don't work on children when another child It doesn't work when you're like 10, 11 years old. But
Dale Carnegie wrote a lot of books about, being successful. Everybody looked to him to get rich or be successful and all this other stuff. Yeah. It was more for adults for sure.
But what it did bring me to is looking at that section, and I saw a book by a guy no longer with us called Emile Coué, E-M-I-L-E, Emile Coué, C-O-U-E, for anyone wanting to check him out. He's most famous for coming up with a phrase of day by day in every way, I'm getting better and better, and advising people to say this to themselves a minimum of 3 times. But actually what he said to do is get a piece of string or rope and tie a knot in it, and then another knot about a couple of centimeters or an inch away, and then another couple of centimeters away, another knot, till you had about 20 of them. And what you do is you pull your finger over the knot and say, day by day, in every way, I'm getting better and better, then over the next knot, and so on, until you got to the end of the piece of string. And you do that first thing in the morning when you woke up, and last thing at night, just before you went to sleep. Those periods where you're sort of in a daydreamy, sleepy state, they're called the I can never say this right, so I apologize, hypnopompic state, which is just as you're woken up, and the hypnagogic state, just as you're going to sleep.
Yeah.
And these would filter directly into your unconscious mind and help that plant as like a psychological positive suggestion seed that would grow. And experiments over the years showed that, you could change that to day by day in every way. My skin is getting clearer and clearer, and people with nervous skin conditions found that the skin cleared up and they became more confident. It was a very powerful tool, the art of affirmations. Arguably, it was kind of the grassroots of what gets termed and bastardized, excuse the word, as the law of attraction these days. But people kind of, sadly, the way they're teaching it now, the reason it doesn't work for everyone is because they've missed bits out, sadly. But anyway, I read his book, and one of the things he also spoke about was called the law of reversed effort, the idea that what resists persists. The idea that if your conscious mind tries to do something, that the word try, or the action of trying, gives you the suggestion that there's a possibility of failure. And if your unconscious, subconscious mind, your imagination grasps hold of that idea, then that will grow, and your imagination is far more powerful than your conscious mind. So however much you, for example, try to stop smoking, your unconscious mind is more likely to make you feel the cravings or make you relapse, because that's the more powerful force. The only way you long-term really stop smoking, for example, is to reprogram your personal neck-top computer, i.e. your unconscious, subconscious mind. Go in there and remove any thoughts, feelings, memories, emotions, associations, triggers, programs that were running that ever caused you to become addicted to smoking in the first place. Those need removing, deleting, and overwriting, and then replacing with positive things that empower you to never relapse, to never go back to that once bothered you in the past. So I learned about this law of reversed effort, and one day, when the bully, as the daily did, pinned me against the wall and started their verbal tirade of insults and swearing with their little gang around them laughing, before they then would hit me and walk off laughing away with their gang, I thought, well, I've got nothing to lose because I'm going to get hit anyway. And I just, as they started talking, I went, you may as well stop bloody insulting me. Just get on with it. Just try and hit me now, you idiot. Go on, go for it. Try and hit me now. Because I thought, what's the worst that can happen? I get hit sooner.
Yeah, because they're already hitting you anyways, right? So, yeah.
And that pattern interrupt thing I spoke about before, that have you seen These Not the Droids type of glazed look came over the face, and they looked at me weird. So I went silent for a few seconds and went, you're a effing idiot, swear word.
Yeah.
Stop, you're talking effing nonsense. They let go of me, And then they still looked confused, and they turned to their little gang and said, "Not staying around here, come with me," type of thing, and stumbled off laughing. But I didn't get hit, and they never went near me after that day.
Isn't that weird? Like they treated it like it was something that repulsed them, but in fact it was.
It just total brain sensory overload, confusion, disorientation. What the hell's going on?
Yeah.
The brain couldn't compute it in that moment. And I guess, as it turns out, I mean, it's easy to say this now as an adult looking back, but I didn't think this way as a kid, obviously. Their bullying was about them getting some sense of self-worth because their gang would laugh and go, "Oh." Well, in that moment of confusion, what do I do? If they didn't do something quick, something in their mind must have said, if I don't do something quick, I could end up looking daft, which they wouldn't want to. So self-protection would kick in, but they couldn't make sense of it. So the only thing was to take control, was to walk away and make it look as though they'd intended to do that. When I look at it now with adult eyes, that's kind of probably the end result, the psychological impact it had. But all I was bothered about at the time was, wow, this worked. And that led me onto a journey then of I need to learn everything I can about influence, suggestion. And that led me into then learning about hypnosis. And basically, by the time I was 14 years of age, I was a fully qualified clinical hypnotherapist. I'd lied about my age to do the course, but once I passed it, I came clean and said, "I'm sorry, I lied to you because I didn't think you'd let a 14-year-old take the course." And they said, "You're quite right, we wouldn't have done." But the fact is, you did do the exam, you did pass it with flying colours. So what we're going to do is, obviously, we're going to rip up your certificate we gave you. But they issued me a new one with my correct date of birth on.
That's really
because
cool.
they were so impressed that I actually did pass with flying colours. And then several years later, quite a number of years later, I ended up buying that hypnotherapy training school organisation off the gentleman. I was so impressed by the company, so to speak, that I took it over, a bit like Victor Kayam with the shavers. So that's kind of the journey. But because I'd always been performing as well, and I had that kind of addiction to the audience applauding that made me feel, special.
Well, there's not, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that too. Like that's good to want applause or to want attention or to want people to really.
It can be, as long as you manage it right. As long as it's something done with the right context, because the reason so many celebrities and performers are so mixed up is because, but also it's a double-edged sword. There's a lot of their creativity and talent can root from them being mixed up.
Yeah, they start getting really high ideals of themselves, almost as if they're not human or something, I guess, maybe. Do you think that's what's happening?
Or it can be that they're, on screen, on stage, they look like it's like the old story of Grok the Clown. This guy goes to the doctors and he's depressed, and he says, I spend my life totally depressed, focus on negative stuff all the time. I can't smile, I can't laugh. And the doctor says, "You're in luck. This week, the circus is in town. Go and see Grok, the world's greatest clown." And the guy just breaks down in tears, and the doctor says, "What's up?" And the guy says, "Well, that won't help me. I am Grok, the clown." And apparently that's apparently a true story. It's the idea that when the clown's got the makeup off, what the comedian is like on stage isn't necessarily what they're truly like, And a lot of the motivating factors, and this links into mind control. So this is something I discovered through it happening in my own life, is that performing and getting that round of applause when it was meant to was a context that made me feel kind of loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished and valued. So it had a positive effect on my self-confidence, self-image, self-esteem and self-control. For self-control, you can also substitute willpower, which was a knock-on effect, had a positive effect on my self-worth, my self-respect, my self-love, learning to love yourself, like the song, The Greatest Love of All. And that's what makes you feel whole and good and positive as a person. And that's when I felt best performing, getting that reaction. It was the polar opposite of getting bullied and called names at school and stuff, you know. Now, when the bullying was under control, I still had the craving though, because that had knocked down my self-respect levels and self-esteem and all that for the performing. But by that point, I made the association that I was getting bullied because I'd been performing as a clown. So I grew to resent being a clown. So I stopped doing it.
Yeah, I hear you. I think we're about to go into we're at the top of the hour, so we got to go into our break here. But I do like, this is a really cool story. I think a lot of people need to hear this story, too. So I'm glad you're telling us the story. Before we get into, the NLP, hypnotherapy, and mind control stuff too. So I think we're about to learn a big lesson about how powerful the mind is. More Lighting the Void coming up right after the top of the hour break here. We'll be right back. I'm your host, Joe Roop. Stay with us.
Hey, this is No Way Jose, a Northern California Piscean stuck in the Arizona desert. I'm a void walker, and I got the shoes to prove it. So what do I do when my soul yearns to delve deep into the realm of the unknown? I aim my satellite straight into the night sky and catch a smooth ride on the KTLK-DB radio waves. I tune into Lighting the Void with Joe Roop on the Fringe FM.
Joe, Lighting the Void is the best show on the planet. This is Barney, your friend from Facebook. Thank you and all the crew for all you do. Namaste, my friend.
This is Macon from the foothills of North Carolina, and I am a void walker.
G'day, void walkers. This is Lily from down under Australia. The world may be small, the enigma is greater. So let your curiosity take you for a journey with Joe Roop.
Hey, this is Fee, coming in from Central Maryland, and I am a void walker.
This is Kevin Doherty, a beginner void walker. I'm from Vancouver, BC. I know a little about a lot, and as Leonard Skinner said, I guess the rest. I learned a lot from Mr. Roop on the show, and heard it from the beginning. I knew right then he was going to be a new art gal. Thanks for all your shows, and keep it up.
Hey, this is Derek from Mass, aka the Night Stalker, and I'm a void walker.
This is Mark from Chicago, and I walk the void to ascertain what is consciousness.
My name is Jared Johnson, and I'm from Humboldt County, California. I do not know all the answers to the questions about reality. I do not claim to know the ultimate truth about life. I seek that which has been made hidden as a part of a family of explorers of consciousness. I'm a void walker. Thanks, Joe Roop.
This is Barbara Charlton from Metaphorical Archaeology. If you've ever had a traumatic paranormal experience, the effects of it may stay with you for years. Who do you talk to? You can't go to conventional help. What we do is we use emotional freedom techniques or tapping to actually neutralize the effects of that event. Maybe when you tell the story now, your heart races and your palms get sweaty. You don't even want to think about it because you don't know how to neutralize that. That's what EFT tapping does. It neutralizes those emotions. The circuit that was recorded on is gone. The energy flows freely and you're free of it. And that's what emotional freedom is all about. We offer this as a pro bono service, but this is something that I offer because no one, it seems, is helping people with these experiences. If you'd like to reach me, it's really easy. My cell phone is 214-995-3754. Please leave a message. I will get back to you as quickly as possible. Or you you can email me, barb.eft@gmail.com. And EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. Reach out to me. It's confidential. This works. You won't believe the results.
Have you heard of heavy metals? Yeah! I'm not talking about the heavy metals in the junkyard. I'm talking about the heavy metals that build up in your body. Heavy metals in your body can make you feel sluggish, fatigued, and just plain off. Why not try Life Change Tea at GetTheTea.com? Cleansing your body and making you feel great. Cleansing the inside of your body of intruders that sneak their way into you and set up an intruder camp. Life Change Tea helps remove unwanted intruder camps. Brew it, steep it, and drink in the results. Tastes great, so you can create a new health habit. Our tea loves to help people. It just needs the chance. So order yours today by logging on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Our Life Change Super Strength Tea is waiting. This could be a beautiful relationship. Take charge of your health. Order at GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com.
The Fringe FM isn't just a radio station. We also provide services for all your audio production needs. If you are interested in live radio or pre-recorded podcasts, we're here to help. We even do audio enhancements and voiceovers if needed. If you want to do a podcast or live radio show and even want the option to syndicate on terrestrial radio, from simple audio file enhancement to live production and call screening, we have you covered. We have worked with some of the best professionals in the business in order to provide coaching instruction for content creation, show structure, and more. Contact The Fringe Digital Media for more at info@thefringe.fm. That's info@thefringe.fm, or call 501-777-5631 for a consultation.
From the Kingdom of Arkansas, you are listening to Joe Roop and Lighting the Void here on the Fringe FM.
Hey, this is Amalia from Know the Self Mystery School. I know that you are in the midst of massive change. We all are. This is the great turning, the time that we all decided to be here on the planet. Do you know why you came here to be a part of this crazy time? If not, I invite you to join my mystery school. I have a 9-week course called Activate Your Mission. And in this course, you're going to learn how to erect crystal clear boundaries so that you can hear that inner still voice that's going to guide your every move. Even if you're dealing with feeling weighed down by obligations and being enslaved to the system, this course is going to give you the tools you need to illuminate your shadow and awaken to your soul's mission. The moment you sign up to the school, you are going to be greeted by not only a group of soulful spiritual warriors, but you're also going to get some massive karmic clearings, and you're going to feel the energy. It's palpable. I hope you'll join me in the school where together we're going to unlock your divine mission.
Activate your mission by going to thefringe.fm/soul mission and put in the code word fringe and receive $50 off today. All right, Jonathan Royle, our guest tonight here on Lighting the Void. Don't forget to go to the website at lightingthevoid.com and sign up and support the show. I love you guys. We support you, and thank you for supporting us. And we're talking about the website for reference to is magicalguru.com. We're talking about mind control, also the power of hypnotherapy, NLP, and our guest tonight. It's taken us through his pretty touching story, man, that you're telling us so far about how you got into this subject matter. I mean, that's you talked about the whole thing was being wanted, needed, loved, cherished, and I think you said adored or something. Like, I think we all want to feel that stuff, right? And that's kind of what it's all about.
I'll recap on them in a minute, because it's vital to how people get persuaded, influenced, brainwashed, hypnotized, mind control, call it what you will. But just to finish up, I mean, I passed the hypnotherapy thing when I was 14 and started seeing therapy clients. But I still yearned the round of applause from performing. So I'd actually distanced myself from the clowning stuff by the time I was about 10. But I still craved for that appreciation of an audience. So I went into doing my hobby, the magic tricks, as performances. And then when I was 15, I realized that I could use the skills I'd learned through hypnotherapy, combined with my entertainment skills, and do stage hypnosis. So I started doing that, and that was back in 1990, and now here we are in March 2021, and traveled the world, written several dozen books on the subject. I've now taught doctors, nurses, plastic surgeons, medical types, science, you name it. I've taught them the techniques to use in their industries. I've got courses galore out there. I've lost track of how many people I've helped overcome habits, addictions, fears, phobias and stuff. I'm not saying this to try and sound big-headed, because there isn't actually... Anyone can learn to do what I do. One of my teachers, Delavar, the late Gordon Mee, when I was very young, he said to me, "Young Alex," because that's my name by birth, Alex. Jonathan Royle's my stage name, because Alex Smith sounds a bit flat. "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome live on stage, Alex Smith." Not quite as good as Jonathan Royle. Yeah. He said to me, I had a mental block. What he said to me when I was at the hypnosis, mind control, da-ba-doo-ba-doo, I've had a total mental block. What was I just saying then?
Well, you were talking about how the guy that taught you said something to you about he called you young Alex or something like that. And
young Alex, the key. He'll come back to me. It would have been to do with the key that, I can't remember the exact words that were in my head at the time, but it would have been his version of what I then formulated into... I've remembered now. Thank God for that. Right. What he said to me when I was very, very young was that anyone, for example, can learn to play the piano. And indeed, I can play, I believe it's called chopsticks. It only takes a few different notes on a keyboard. But that definitely does not make me a concert pianist. And what Dale said is that hypnosis is much the same. Anyone can learn the fundamentals, and certainly to a level that's good enough to help themselves. But they're not everyone's necessarily going to become a concert pianist. So it's not something magical or mystical. It's something anybody can learn, but obviously their level of expertise with it will be largely dependent on how much effort they put into it. Now, the key fundamental, and then I'll throw it back to you to ask whatever you want to ask, is that I learned from this journey of getting bullied, finding my escape route, realizing, Lord, that I still needed, unwanted and craved that kind of feeling from performing, that how bloody important it is as human beings that we want to, or rather we need to. It's not a case of wanting to. Some people consciously would say they're not bothered whether people like them or not. But at an unconscious, subconscious level, people need to feel loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished and valued. Now, the funky thing is that feelings are an illusion. They are a person's perception. Okay, so you can have people who are incredibly depressed and think all the world is against them, and yet they have family members who love them to bits and would do anything for them. So the reality is there's those people there that love them, but to the individual, their reality is nobody loves them. So reality is only the sum total of you as the individual's evaluation and perception of how you perceive and process things in your mind. It's all psychological, largely.
Couldn't you really? Isn't that the basis of a lot of mind control though out there and manipulation is to make people feel like that they're wanted, needed, loved, and cherished, and all this stuff.
That's where we're getting to, because once you understand that people need to feel loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished, and valued, and they sound very similar, but if you write them down, so that's loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished, and valued. Write them down, look up the meanings in a dictionary, and then look at a thesaurus and see the different meanings. You'll see that some of them are more relevant to self-confidence. Some will be more relevant to self-image. Some will be more relevant to self-esteem. Some will be more relevant to self-control, which conveniently is the 4 foundations I mentioned earlier, that they have a knock-on effect. Because if there's any imbalance, if a person doesn't feel fully loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished, and valued, if there's any imbalance in one or more of them, then it will have a knock-on effect on their self-confidence, self-image, self-esteem, or self-control. And if there's any imbalance in one or more of them, then it will have a knock-on effect on their self-respect, their self-worth, their self-love. And if there's any imbalance in one or more of them, that will metaphorically leave them feeling as though they've got a hole, a gap, something missing. And that makes them prone to having that gap filled by finding God. No offense, but that might be one route. Or being conned into a nefarious cult because they feel that then they become part of something special, part of a family. Other people fill that hole through getting obsessed with keep fit. Other people find, there's addictions. They might fill that hole by overeating to fill the gap, or they might cloud the gap through smoking, or try to drown it, fill it with a river of alcohol. This is a metaphor for the way people react to feelings, thoughts, and emotions, or rather imbalances in those emotions. And the way to reverse that, the way I get people over their habits, addictions, fears, and phobias, and other emotional issues, is not to concentrate on the fact that they currently smoke or that they currently drink and they want to stop it. Is my main focus, rather than suggesting to them that they no longer need, want, crave, or desire for cigarettes or tobacco, which may be a tiny part of what I do, but that's not the main focus. The main focus is on allowing their unconscious, subconscious mind, that imagination that's more powerful than the conscious, to believe that they feel loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished, and valued. So those things can balance out. And there's a knock-on effect. Then their self-confidence, self-image, self-esteem, and self-control, aka willpower, will level out and improve. And a knock-on effect will be that the self-esteem, the self-worth, the self-love, the self-respect will then balance out. And when there are no imbalances in those things, or they're very tiny little ones, that don't therefore cause a massive knock-on effect, any previous lacking that the person may have felt on a deep unconscious level will be resolved. And because it's resolved, then they will no longer want, no longer need, want, crave, or desire for those cigarettes or for that alcohol or for those drugs, because that was just an escape or a way of clouding or hiding the core underlying problem. That was just a symptom, if you like. That wasn't the issue, the fact that they drank. That was the manifestation of the issue. It was an underlying emotional thing. And when you deal with the kind of hierarchy of things I've mentioned, that is how we put things right. But that's a positive use of it. Unfortunately, knowing those things, advertisers can push the right buttons to sell you things that you didn't want, or to make you pay more for their brand because it'll make you feel more special than buying the cheaper brand. Politicians can use these techniques to make you follow their political party and aims. Some would argue, sorry for anyone this offends, but history tells us this to be true, sadly, that, you know, one of the greatest hypnotists to ever live, not great as in ethical, not great as in helping people change their lives for the better, but great in terms of being able to use verbal linguistics and stimulate people's emotions to get them to do things that he wanted them to do that would be normally totally abhorrent to people. And that is Adolf Hitler. Is an example of how extreme words, just words alone used correctly, can make people do the most extreme things. And every area of our daily lives, through education, or as I call it, the indoctrination system, politics, religion, selling, advertising, every area of our lives from cradle to grave is about people wanting to influence us. And not all of them want to do it with positive intent.
I think that's the thing that you've hit with the politicians there. That is because I think what we're talking about is you get into the basic instinct of the human psyche and learning how to push those buttons, aren't we? I think that's what we're talking about.
They get, exactly. And the hierarchy of needs I've mentioned is the hierarchy. They are the keys. It's about how do you use them in the right order or target them the right way for positive. Well, that's what I do with therapy clients, but for nefarious purposes, manipulation, they've spent many years studying this. For example, in England at the moment, it's the general public who are observant may have started to notice mention in the British media of a unit set up in Westminster near the Houses of Parliament called the Behavioural Insights Team, which for short is nicknamed the Behavioural Nudge Unit. And its job is to come up with ways of nudging people to think and do what they want them to do. Currently, their main focus is on convincing people to take the injection in the arm that begins with the letter V, but I won't say the word because it tends to get flagged on podcast and radio shows and replays and then get them taken down. But
Can we say gene therapy? Can we say gene therapy?
We can probably say that, yeah. That gene therapy that's in clinical trials with the general public around the world.
Yeah. Right.
Their main focus is on getting people to take that. And one of the things they've done in England is they've got celebrities to do adverts. I've taken it, you take it. Because it's proven that people tend to do what, you know, if they like a certain celebrity, they're more likely to believe them and follow what they do. That's a low-level technique. But if they've got a unit that's looking at that at the low level, what are they doing that the public doesn't know about? Because when you realise this, that in London, on a back street in London, and in my documentary, I've got a documentary film out that we do a whistle-stop tour of major landmarks in London that are relevant to mind control around the world. And we show you them and explain what they do and how it works and how to protect yourself. And that documentary is called Extreme Danger, Extreme Hypnosis. And it's now free of charge because originally it was a pay-to-view thing, but we decided last year in the midst of this world madness that it was more important than ever for people to realize what was going on. So we made it free and people can go to magicalguru.com and just click on where it says Extreme Danger, Extreme Hypnosis and watch that feature documentary free of charge along with other videos that expand on the subjects. But in there we go down a back street in London to the British Psychological Society, which is the organisation for professional psychiatrists and psychologists. And in the same building, the exact same building, they share the premises, is the Tavistock Institute of Human Relations.
I was just going to mention them, yeah, go ahead.
The Tavistock Institute of Human Relations that previously, was formulated originally as the Tavistock Hospital, which if people do their own research, and I encourage them to do so, don't take my word for it, the Tavistock Hospital was involved in MK-Ultra trauma-based mind control experiment shortly after the war. This is not a conspiracy theory. Declassified documents confirm that as a fact. This has been going on for decades, that they've been studying mind control techniques, largely trauma-based. And trauma, MK Ultra did look at some abysmal things because, after the war, people like Joseph Mengele and some others that committed atrocities were smuggled out, as we now know, of Nazi Germany and smuggled into America, and then got involved in certain projects, including MK Ultra and other MK labeled projects. And trauma-based meant inflicting pain and torture on people, sexual abuse, psychological abuse, all manner of abhorrent things. And sometimes that goes on to this day, but what they managed to do, they learned so much from it, and over the years they've realized they don't have to physically torture people to get the end result. It can be done purely psychologically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they've mastered it that much that it can be done purely psychologically, and it's best done when it's done in a mild form, but from multiple different angles. So it's in bombarding you from many different areas of your life on a daily basis, so that the critical faculty of the brain doesn't see it coming, or it sees some of it coming, but is so occupied protecting themselves from it coming in one direction that it's totally distracted from the messages that are coming from other directions.
Yeah, and like I say, they've been doing it for years. Even Aldous Huxley's brother, Julian Huxley, is probably on the TV and the radio. He literally used to say, we're in the process of developing a series of techniques to get people to love the servitude. And it's the same psychopaths that have gone overt. The Bolshevik stuff, the communism stuff, they've gone overt, they've gone the Hitler stuff. That was all primed for Hitler to come in and do that. Germany had been abandoned. It's all primed. It's all set up. And you got these psychopaths going in doing this. And they know exactly what they're doing. And they've tried it overtly. It hasn't worked. So they thought, we'll go covert then. And they slide it in the back door and they slide it in secretly. And that's why it's so important to do the work and to learn to identify how a psychopath operates. Because there's loads of them around you trying to control you. And there's loads more of us than them. And it's only because they've got the know-how and they've done the work to learn how our operating systems work. And that's it. It's the only difference.
So what's the difference?
Agree more.
What's the difference? We have to take a break after you answer this, but what's the difference between neuro-linguistic programming and hypnotherapy or extreme hypnotherapy?
Okay, my answer to that, sorry to anyone who's listening to this who's an NLP practitioner, but I'm sorry, it's the truth, and if you don't like it, you can lump it. The creators of NLP, Richard Bandler and John Grindler, ultimately Richard Bandler came up with the name because in the state of America where he lived, you couldn't be a hypnotherapist without being state licensed, that kind of thing. There were various legal restrictions. So by coming up with the name of NLP, it meant it was a loophole, and he could use essentially what are hypnotic emotional persuasion techniques, but in a context where it became legal. And in truth, it misses out a lot of the good stuff of hypnosis. Someone who's been taught correctly hypnosis can get far better results than any NLP practitioner ever will. Is the short answer.
All right, cool. Fair enough, because we've had kind of both people on the program, so I'm just curious, your opinions on that. All right, so we're going to take our break, and then we'll come back. We'll open the phone lines up, too, if you have any questions for our guests. Okay. That's at 1-800-588-0335. Stay with us. More coming up.
love talk radio, then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
The truth is out there, and so are we. KTLK, Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
Want to support Lighting the Void? Just go to lightingthevoid.com, sign up on our membership page, and pick your package where you can get exclusive content, readings, and exclusive behind-the-scenes content. Also, check out the LTV shop where you can get your very own altar box, t-shirt, shack, hoodie with sigil, Roswell-style t-shirt, racerback tees, socks, long-sleeve shirts, stickers, and beanies. Keep Lighting the Void airing 5 nights a week by going to lightingthevoid.com and support today.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
Telepath is a weekly digital newsletter filled with the latest paranormal news, trending topics, and fresh articles from some of the most popular critical thinkers in the community today. Stay informed on your favorite paranormal podcasts and live streaming talk shows. Interact with the Telepath and upload your paranormal story or pics. It could be featured in an upcoming edition. Sign up right now for the free Telepath newsletter at paranormal.radio. That's paranormal.radio.
Lighting the Void and the Esoteric Scholar present the Altar Box, crafted and designed for magicians by magicians. Now you can take your practice with you. This beautifully handcrafted mobile altar opens and works as an altar for any of your spiritual, religious, or ritual practices. Made to travel and work in small spaces, the Altar Box comes with hidden compartments for your practice tools and accessories. The Altar Box also comes with a dark scrying mirror for scrying and reverses and fits perfectly also as a chalkboard for any sigil, symbol, or whatever you see fit to sketch. The Altar Box is handcrafted to carry as a small suitcase, so you may take your practice with you, and the hinges are made with solid material and hinged with leather and rivets for extra strength. The mirror piece and floor plate fit perfectly when closed, so no movement will happen. Use it in small places as well. You can practice meditation, magic, planetary magic, sigil magic, scrying, ritual. Never be without your practice tools again, no matter the setting or where you go. And this season, give the gift of magic for yourself or your loved one by grabbing your Altar Box. Was $249.99, now $199.99. The sale ends January 1st, 2021. Just go to lightingthevoid.com/altarbox and get yours while the sale lasts.
I don't know all the answers to the questions about reality. I do not claim to know the ultimate truth about life. I seek that which has been made hidden as a part of a family of explorers of consciousness. I am a void walker. Hey, this is Macon, and you're listening to Lighting the Void with Joe Root.
All right, so we started the show talking about mind control, NLP. Our guest, Jonathan Royle, told us his story. A well-known hypnotist, hypnotherapist, NLP practitioner. So many names for it, but it's basically using the power of the mind, right? To find out his story and how he got to this place. We were talking during the break. I asked, and Rohan's here with me as well. And I asked Jonathan, I said, Jonathan, what do you think the biggest mind control tool on the planet is? And I thought you were going to say religion, but you said the media, right? And
thousands of channels, publications, all this, that, the other, and yet they're owned by about 5 people.
Oh yeah. I remember when I looked into that too. I don't know all the names of the companies, but I know one of them's like Viacom or isn't it? Like there's like 5 corporations that run everything in the media.
Right.
Yeah.
Really big conglomerates. And
then you look who's the head of those companies. Now, one of them's Rupert Murdoch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And anyway, I mean, it doesn't matter who they are. The point is that there's a very small handful of people and they've got control, and the people that they associate with when you do your research, they influence who becomes politicians successfully, who becomes prime ministers and presidents. They influence public opinion on all matter of things. They could, if they printed a story in their publication and put it on their news channels a certain way, they could make a certain political party be so hated it would cause riots. Or they could stop and make everyone loved it. You know, it's scary the amount of power they've got, and it's only a handful of people. And when you look, those handful of people are associated with the rich banking families, and the people who truly run the media. What I'm saying in a nutshell, because we're sadly limited for time, but I go into this in more depth with actual examples and proof, as it were, in my documentary, is that the wisest thing to do is to either A, not believe a single thing you read in a newspaper or see on TV, or at the very least, don't believe it until you've independently researched it yourself from multiple different sources, including ones you know are definitely not owned by or influenced or controlled by the people who own those 5 media outlets worldwide, because you need to start questioning things and coming to your own conclusions. Otherwise, you're falling into that trap of just following the narrative that's going out through the media. And if you think that sounds a bit kooky, think of it this way. I'll give you an example in England, but you can see the same in America as well. You can see it worldwide, in fact. In England, Rupert Murdoch, for example, owns a daily newspaper called the Sun newspaper. And he also owns other newspapers, like one that's supposed to be a more upper class, more for the rich people, the Times. Okay. And they both got very different political views, these papers, apparently. But when it comes to election times, you'll find that both of them will have stories in that, albeit they're written in different ways, because one is appealing to people who have got more money, who consider themselves more upper class, you know, high society, as it were, and then the Sun newspaper that's more down to earth, man on the street, the common man. They will be written very differently to push the right emotional buttons, but ultimately both stories are aimed at manipulating the reader into voting for the candidate that the owner of that newspaper wants its readers to vote for. And the person they'll want the readers to vote for is the one that they've been told by the people who ultimately control them. Because above the media owners are people with massive amounts of money who more than likely get what's known as compromat on them, blackmail material, to be able to say to them, hey, Mr. Media Man, I want this agenda pushed in the media. Otherwise, that blackmail tape of you with the barely legal model gets released to the public and your reputation's ruined.
That's classic. That's classic intelligence tactics too, for sure. You know?
Yeah. Mossad, who famous for using such techniques, allegedly. And it's a quaint coincidence that Ghislaine Maxwell of Epstein notoriety, her father, Robert Maxwell, was a major media owner. And when he died, he got a full Mossad kind of military style honours type funeral, strangely.
Can't write that, can you?
Do the research. Don't believe me. Go and look.
Crazy.
All the clues are there when you look. What was he getting rewarded for? More than likely brainwashing people through the media.
Is that the Mockingbird thing you was talking about then over the break?
Well, Project Mockingbird started a long time ago, as in like it was around wartime. And there's now declassified CIA documents that talk about Project Mockingbird and how they brought lifetime actors into the media. So they get people who ultimately were on the payroll of the CIA, go deep undercover kind of thing, and end up working as journalists in newspapers that can make sure stories get in, and ended up being television presenters and stuff. This went on. Now, the declassified documents show that this ended many years ago. I don't believe that for 1 minute. And I don't think anyone should believe anything that says that's been declassified, saying that a project that was about influencing and brainwashing people and was getting successful results has ever been ended. I think by admitting it happened and saying it's ended is the best smokescreen ever for it to have stepped up to the next level. The next level, controversially, social media. There's some that claim that social media was invented not by somebody in university trying to make a buck for their friends and make of what I've just said there what you want. I'm being careful here, litigation-wise. But that actually that's the front story for a CIA-funded, organised mind control, PSYOP. And that was the root of social media. And you've only got to look around you and see how dependent people have become on when they hear a ping on their phone, youngsters especially. Oh, have I got another like on my photograph on Instagram?
Get endorphin hits from it.
This is what's making them feel loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished and valued these days. This is what is affecting their self-confidence, esteem, image and control. This is what they're becoming reliant upon for their self-worth, self-respect, self-love, self-esteem. That's pretty damn scary because they can influence, as was shown in films like the documentaries like The Social Network, they can, through their algorithms, remove this when they want to make people feel even more dependent and then give them a big burst of likes all at once. It's a mass influence tool.
So how do we use this? Because we are running short of time, but like, how do we use what you've learned while we're surrounded by all of this? People don't.
How do we protect ourselves?
Yeah, like not only how do we protect ourselves, but how do we empower ourselves where we don't feel like we're not wanted, needed, loved, cherished, and valued, and we're not getting brainwashed at the same time, Because we have short time, a few bullet points. Firstly, if you go on my website, magicalguru.com, which is magicalguru.com, click on the hypnotherapy page. There's about the fourth video down. There's one that's a virtual online complete mind therapy treatment session. This has been structured in such a way that whatever your habit, addiction, fear or phobia is, anxiety, panic attack, whatever, from A through to Z, it can help you with it. But what it can also help you with is reprogram your mind positively so that any negative programs of self-doubt or not feeling good enough can be overwritten with ones that do make you feel loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished and valued, and all the things I spoke about before, to build up all the levels so that your self-respect, self-image, self-love and self-worth and all that are increased to a level where you've then got kind of a mental antivirus for the brain in your imagination, your subconscious mind, so that you are more protected
and become less affected by these external influences. That's one thing that people can do, and it's completely free of charge. The second thing you can do is click on the bit that says Extreme Danger, Extreme Hypnosis, and watch my 1 hour and 50-minute long documentary where we show you the actual areas of life. We show you what happens in education, politics, religion, the media, all different areas of life, so that once you're consciously aware of the areas that these techniques are used in and have an insight into how they're used, you can more easily spot them being used on you, and therefore be more prompted to not just believe everything you see on TV or in a newspaper, independently research it. Don't automatically believe something because it comes from a perceived authority figure. That's all part of the plan and the way the system's set up. And keep in mind that phrase, follow the money. What's in it for them? What's their motivation for saying this or wanting me to believe this? Who's going to benefit most, me or them? And quite often you'll find that it's them, which should be the big red flag that helps warn you off from going down that getting more intertwined and screwed over path. So there are a few things straight away off the top of my head that people can do.
And you give some of that away for free too. That's really cool. I mean, that's important, I think,
All of that's free. And there's tons, there's a section on my website where it says free stuff. And they can there's a 6-hour video training set on there. And it goes into depth about a thing called the placebo effect. Now, people may think of the placebo effect as just being the idea that you could give somebody a sugar pill with no chemicals in it, and as long as they believe in it enough, that pill and the ritual of taking it could help them get better. And that is one use of the placebo effect. But when you understand the placebo effect fully, and the free videos on my site teach people who are interested, and also know it has a reverse thing called the nocebo effect, which is if you give somebody a genuine chemical drug pill, but they don't believe it will work, and they don't believe to such a level, then their mind can stop it from working. That's how powerful the mind is. Something that's got no particular real worth, but given to someone who believes it has, can make them better. And something that should work, and studies show should cure them or help them with whatever, if that person disbelieves it enough, they can stop their mind over body, stop it from working. There's two extremes of the scale. And when you understand that, you can start to use those techniques in your everyday life on yourself. One of the biggest things is going back to Emile Coué, first thing in the morning when you wake up, last thing at night before you go to sleep, say to yourself at least 3 times, and it doesn't necessarily have to be out loud if there's other people around. It can be speaking it inside your head to yourself. Say to yourself, day by day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. Say that 3 times to yourself in the morning, just as you've woken up, and 3 times just before you go to bed. And follow it up by saying these things to yourself inwardly. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I forgive you. I love you. And you say this inwardly inside your head. It's kind of like, I can never say the word hopper, hopper, dumper, dubby, hopper, no. I can never say the word. It's the Hawaiian positive thinking technique. Anyway, by saying those things to yourself when you're just about to go to sleep and when you're just woken up, when you're in that hypnopompic or hypnagogic state where you're most suggestible, it will go into your unconscious, subconscious mind, and those suggestions will grow. And a lot of what holds people back in life is that they may not feel fully worthwhile, hence the day by day feeling better and better, and the free therapy session I spoke about to increase the feelings of love and the other things we talked about. But also it's that they could be carrying around self-blame, shame, guilt and regret. And these are things they tend to have picked up when they were younger, in the formative years of from birth to around 7 years of age as a child. And it was probably an insignificant little event if you look at it as an adult. may have been a time when a parent was busy and they just wanted to show them a painting they'd done, and the parent went, no, I'm too busy at the minute, I'm just doing something, and the child feels rejected. Okay, as an adult looking back, they just go, well, you know, they were doing something, the parent. If I'd have gone back 5 minutes later, they'd have loved to have seen my picture. But as a child, that can have a dramatic effect that takes root. I'm not worthwhile. And if enough little incidents like that happen, a program can start running in your personal laptop computer saying, you're not worthy, you're not worthy. And when you grow up, that program's still running. So people hold themselves back and they don't know why. However much conscious effort they make, they don't quite achieve what other people are doing. And the reason is, while they're still running that program of you're not worthy, that is their deep core belief inwardly, even if consciously they try to do something about it. You've got to get in there, delete, remove, and erase all the negative programs and replace them with positive, empowering ones, which is where hypnosis can work, or giving yourself those positive affirmations just as you've woken up or just before you go to sleep when you're most suggestible. And by saying those phrases like, I forgive you, I'm sorry, it's kind of apologizing to that metaphorical inner child for what went on when they were younger. And it acts as a metaphor that allows forgiveness as well and allows you to move on. And it's amazing that can have a simple little technique like that used morning and night. People in a matter of days or a few weeks can often notice massive life-changing positive repercussions in their life.
Yeah, I mean, even if you got a good parent, even if you had good parents, like I guess healthy parents, when you're a baby, they're always giving you that love, care. At some point, they take it away. They don't give you as much as they used to for whatever reason. And even if it's a small thing, I think it can traumatize you sometimes and stick in there, I don't know. Yeah. It just depends because I've heard some horrific stories, for people about children and then other people that it's always like an inner child thing. I mean, it just keeps coming back to that. And it's, I think there's a thing is in adults where they don't want to look at that. Like, I'm an adult. How can I still have to deal with my inner child? That's not mature or whatever, but that's essentially what we are, is like, we just got bigger bodies and we had to adapt to the world,
Exactly. Absolutely. Exactly.
So it's kind of it's kind of a trip to hear you say that too. So these programs, do you do daily? So like for me, I do meditation, ritual, stuff like that. Do you just do daily affirmations? Do you find that works really well for you?
Yeah. Just as once I close my eyes, I'm going to sleep. I just focus before I'm going to sleep on, positive stuff. If I want something to happen in life, I'm focused on, I will think about that. Having as though it's happened, what would life be when that's happened as I'm going to sleep, and that will tend to plant the seed so it's more likely to become reality.
And you do also like street hypnotherapy, like do you do the performance hypnotherapy too as well?
Yeah, I do the performance. People can see that on the website, magicalguru.com, videos on there. I do the entertainment side, which is a great way of getting the message across to people. But that is obviously, it's just more like, it's basically just giving people permission and a safe environment to let their hair down and let their inner child out and have fun and use their imagination like they did when they were children.
Yeah, I think, well, there's a misconception too. I think a lot of people say, well, he's one of those street magicians or one of those hypnotherapists that go to comedy clubs and stuff. And I don't know. I think those are kind of fun too. Like there's the power of suggestion when you see people do those and they're trying to get people to like cluck like a chicken or do this or whatever. Like, what do you think that's about? Just the power of suggestion and that's it?
No, it's totally. That is exactly what it is. Power of suggestion. All of it's suggestion and emotional manipulation sometimes.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And some people, I don't know. I don't think it's a fraudulent thing. I think it's kind of cool to see, because when you see them do that, they'll sit everybody in chairs, right? And they'll say, they'll start giving out like, now this is what I've seen every time. They'll start telling people what to do, just a couple of things. And the people that actually just do it without asking or whatever, they leave them on the stage and they start telling the other people to sit down, you know? So it's
they work with the people who are most suggestible and most compliant, because it's about entertainment there, whereas in therapy, when you're dealing with somebody one-to-one, obviously if they're not immediately highly suggestible, your job then is to get them to a state where they are suggestible for their own benefit, to help enable them to make those changes. It could take you ages to achieve that, because everyone is different, obviously.
And why do you think that is? Do you think that we're all naturally, like, as born with the ability to take suggestion and we've walled ourselves off, or do you think just people are just different in general?
Oh no, everyone's born with suggestion. That's how you learn. Learning is suggestion. And as kids, we just absorb things like a sponge. It's just a case of what resistance. The more, generally speaking, the more problems or issues or traumatic events somebody's gone through, ironically, you'd think that would help put up a barrier on them, but actually, ironically, in many ways, that makes them more suggestible.
Really interesting. Yes, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we're flat out of time, dude. But thanks for coming on the program. It was really cool talking about this. I do.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Sure. And thanks for coming on. I do like having guests to come on and open people's minds and like really get them to see what's really going on out there, as well as how powerful their own minds are. And if you can, one more time, can you give everybody your link and then anything you got coming up so they can follow you?
All the free stuff I've mentioned, links to all my social media channels, free stuff galore, stuff that'll help you change your life. All of it can be found at magicalguru.com, which is magicalguru.com.
Fantastic. And that'll be on the archives, guys, too. Up next is The Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable. If you're listening on the Fringe FM, we'll see you guys tomorrow night. Same time, same bat channel. Good night. Sweet dreams.